Hey, good morning. Welcome to the JeepSolid Garage. I'm Dale. I'm glad you're here. So we're going to make some progress today on my 4.0 engine rebuild on my Project 1992 Jeep Wrangler YJ. Get this thing off the engine stand, put the clutch on. Basically the final preparation before we can throw it back in the Jeep. So let's check it out. So we are making some really good progress. We are almost there. We've got a few pulleys to put on there, the engine mounting brackets on the sides here. Then we got to come around here. We got to get this thing off the stand, get the clutch on there, get out my engine hoist, which has been tucked down here for a while. It's all taken apart. Got to put that thing together so I can get this bad boy going again. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. I'm all about helping people with repairs, doing their own maintenance, that kind of thing, so hit that subscribe button. So how about the next thing we do? Let's put the engine mounting brackets on the sides there. They are right down here. And here we've got the passenger side bracket and the driver's side. And another thing we're going to end up doing, the engine mounts themselves. These guys are just destroyed. You can see there on that guy, he's just all cracked, completely worn out. Anytime you get one of these old 90s YJs, your engine mounts are probably worn out. So I've got a great replacement, but that'll probably be in the next video. All right, let's throw this mounting bracket on here. Oops, forgot to do this. All right, just gonna torque them down to 45 foot-pounds. Okay, I think that's it. I think we can go ahead and get my cherry picker, assemble that thing, and then get this off the engine stand, put the clutch on it, and we'll be set to go. So, and actually in hindsight, I should have left this alternator bracket off here. I'm going to use one of the bolts down here on the bottom. I can still make it work, but the chain I'm going to use, it would have been a little easier to get a good grab on the engine if this bracket wasn't in the way, but I'm going to use that bottom bolt. It'll work out fine. So, and actually, I just got back from vacation. You guys will never guess where we went. Great trip. Alrighty, let's jack this guy up a little bit. Get this up to the level where it can really smack me in the head if I walk by. Okay, that'll do. We don't want to get it up too high because we want our chain and our engine down, you know, our engine actually close to the arm here. And yes, this is kind of backwards, where normally you would get your cherry picker, your engine hoist, whatever you want to call it, in front of the engine here so you can drop it down in. But I have to bring mine in from the side. Somebody actually made a comment on this a while ago. I don't have enough room in front of the Jeep with it inside of my shop here. So I'd swing it in from the side, works out pretty well. So thank you for your concern, but that's how I need to do it. And so we've got the hook here on the end of the arm on the cherry picker. We're going to hook one end of the chain down here on this bolt that goes into the block. You can't use anything that's aluminum, obviously. You can't use any of these brackets to lift it. These guys are pretty flimsy. On the other side, on the driver's side, we are going to use a manifold bolt to hook the other end of the chain on. I'm going to put a big old washer there to keep that smooth so I don't, so the chain doesn't mark that up. The other thing you can do is some people use a head bolt. You can put another nut on there, use a head bolt as well. And in here, this isn't just our standard bolt. This one's a little bit longer. It's not the bolt that normally goes there. It's a little bit longer and it's a nice high quality grade 8 bolt. And the other thing to pay attention to when you're putting it on the chain, you want the front end up just a little bit because you want it setting like that. It naturally sits in your engine bay on your Jeep with the front end a little bit higher than the back. So we're going to make sure that the chain is a little bit shorter here than it is on the back side. All right, there we go. That ought to do the trick. We can lift it up, get it off the stand here, and then I'll put it on some jack stands while we mess around and put the clutch on. Clutch goes on right back here. Obviously can't get to it when it's on the stand. I think we're set. Let's lift it off the stand here. I've got this one little 2x4 right here. This is just helping me stabilize it because on the engine stand by itself it would kind of bounce a little bit. It's just added a little reinforcement. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to lift it just completely up, then I know it's all the weight's off of it, and there we go. There we go. I can unbolt it now. And obviously when you got it up in the air, stay out from underneath it. I'm going to rest it down on some jack stands. All I can find are my little jack stands right now. I think my big ones are over at Jason's house, because I keep them back here and they are missing. A little while ago I let Jason borrow them. We were working on a project together, I don't know, doing his transfer case I think. Can I get those back, Jason, please? Thank you. In the meantime, these little guys will have to do. I just want to kind of set it down a bit, put some weight on these engine mounts so that the cherry picker's not supporting all the weight for a day or two whenever I can get to putting this in. All right, there we go. We are on the engine stands. Got a little 2x4 under the oil pan there because it went lower than I was expecting because I don't have my big jack stands. All right, let's put our clutch assembly back together here. So let's see, we got this guy here, our spacer plate. It's just gonna set on here, just like so. You got these dowel pins, one on each side. This guy here, the other one's in the bell housing of the transmission. It's going to go right here. So next, let's put our flywheel on here. And I'm going to get a little Loctite, just a little blue Loctite on these guys. This guy is heavy. Let's lift him into place here. Make sure our spacer plate, yeah, it's fine. Just gotta make sure I can move it. That's not the wrong hole. It is, I'm off-centered. This, the holes on the flywheel here, the engineers were geniuses and they made it so you can only line it up one way because the holes aren't spaced perfectly even. So it's nice that they do that so you really can't mess it up. Let's see. Nope. Yeah, I gotta just get down here and look at it. And that's how we hurt our finger. Oh, did you guys see that? The flywheel dropped right on my finger. I'll show you the aftermath here in a bit, but man, that was dumb. I was down there trying to position it. I should have, even though the finger's throbbing, the show must go on. Here, let me show you a little bit of the carnage here. Yeah, that's from my finger right there. As soon as it happened, I was like, oh, raised my finger up and blood's just like drip, 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 drip. Ah! So yeah, that really hurt. And yeah, that was really dumb. But so I've got my finger in a bucket of ice right here. It's actually not that bad, but as soon as I hit it, blood squirted out. I raised it up, put some pressure on it. So yeah, learn from my mistakes, right? Oh, I'm just gonna sit here for a while with my finger in a bucket of ice. Okay, yeah, I think I'm gonna be okay. I mashed it good, but yeah, let's get this done. So what I was trying to show you on the flywheel here, when I said the engineers are geniuses, what they do is they design things so guys like me can't mess it up. You can see the spacing here is not even, so they offset these holes so the flywheel can only go onto the crank one direction so you don't mess up the balance. All right, let's try this again. Now that I've got an injured hand, it's gonna be even more fun. There we go, just like that. Don't put your hand underneath it. I'm a little gun shy on it right now. I'm like, yeah, don't hit me. Man, that hurt. Whew, I don't know what this flywheel weighs, but dropping it right on your knuckle, that hurts. Now we can torque these guys to 105 foot-pounds. And you might have to brace it on the other side. Let me show you that. On the front side of the engine, you might have to have somebody hold the crank for you. I got a screwdriver stuck in there, which is holding it just fine. But as you're torquing that, it'll try to spin on you. Okay, now I'm going to do something a little unusual. You shouldn't do this, but I've got my pressure plate and diaphragm here and this old clutch. Now, a new clutch, a whole kit, is around 100 bucks, and this is the time to do it. I'm actually going to put this old kit back on, this old clutch, because down the road I want to make a video where I show how to replace a clutch start to finish. And most people, when they're replacing their clutch, you don't do it when you take the engine out. Yeah, it's the time to do the clutch. But if you're just doing the clutch itself, you drop the transmission and access it from the back side here. So I want to put this old clutch back on there and then do a future video where I drop the transmission and show how to replace the clutch that way. It's only about 100 bucks for a new clutch. I'll link those in the description below. But this is the time to put a new one on. But I have other motivations, so I'm doing a little bit different. And one thing you need to get is a pilot bearing alignment tool for your clutch disc. Now your disc has a flywheel side. It's labeled right here, flywheel side. So of course that goes against the flywheel, but now there's nothing to hold this centered while you're putting your pressure plate on here. So that's why you need one of these little tools. It just fits in the splines here, slides into your pilot bearing right there. Actually, let me get a little grease in there. And yeah, you should replace the pilot bearing here as well when you're doing your clutch. But we're going to do that down the road. So we can put this on here, line it up, slide that guy, and that'll hold it right in place, right centered, so we can put our pressure plate on here. And now this, I marked previously because I knew I was going to be reusing the old one. So I'm going to line up my marks right here. And yeah, this clutch is in really bad shape, but that's okay. We will be replacing it down the road here. Where's my mark? There it is. So with our alignment tool there, I'm just going to get these started, a little finger tight. Make sure our clutch is lined up right in the center before we start tightening these down evenly. And we're going to do like a cross pattern on them so that the pressure plate snugs down nice and square and even. And the other thing I did, which I didn't get on camera, is all these parts, the flywheel and pressure plate and all that, I cleaned it. You want to clean it with acetone or something. Make sure that the surfaces are nice and clean, that there's no oils on them before you start installing. Now we're going to go around and just kind of evenly tighten these guys down. And checking our alignment tool, making sure that our clutch is centered. We're just alternating sides here. My finger hurts. It's hard to do with one hand. All right, we got them all snug. We'll go around and torque them all to 40 foot-pounds. And finally pull our alignment tool out. Ta-da! All right, there we go. Be sure to check out my next video right up here. And if any of my videos helped you out and you want to help support the JeepSolid Garage, check out my Patreon page linked below. Thanks for watching.